Well, last year, as I hosted the Female NCO Career Development Seminar, I was just astounded at the response we received, not only from our female soldiers and airmen, but also from many of our senior leaders who were present as well. It was definitely an indication that there was a need for this type of conversation and mentorship in the force. And I was really hoping the momentum gained in this area would continue. And thanks to some extremely dedicated planners, look where we are today. All I can say is good work, guys. You know, I once heard that behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who have her back. In essence, that's why we're here today, to ensure that we create very successful women in the Minnesota National Guard by having your back. Today's historic for the Minnesota National Guard. Never before has the force had the opportunity to listen to and learn from so many of our female leaders. The perspectives gained from today's events can enhance the way you view and guide your careers going forward. And you know, if you take nothing else from this event today, make sure you get to know each other. That's really important. This is a great opportunity for networking and mentorship. You know, I have to be honest here. In my own career, the idea of a meeting event focused on women's experience or leadership paths in the military wouldn't have been something I would have participated in for a lot of my career. I spent a lot of years in my career trying to get people to focus on not the fact that I was a woman soldier, but that I was a soldier, focusing on my skills and my drive. I thought that in order to be successful in this organization, I had to never ever speak about my experience as a woman. You know, in fact, I have a story to tell you. Shortly after becoming the Senior Enlisted Advisor for the Minnesota National Guard, I received an invite from one of the units to come and speak to their female soldiers and airmen. And originally I was going to decline the invitation because I thought I should be speaking to all of the soldiers and airmen, not just the female soldiers and airmen. And I remember coming up in the ranks how I disliked whenever I was in a unit and there would be some meeting that all the females had to get pulled out to and go. That really singles you out with your team and with your unit. You already are usually one of the only females in your unit, and so you really don't need to be singled out anymore. But then I got thinking about maybe these females in this unit asked to speak with me. So I changed my mind and I went, and one of the first questions I asked when I was in that meeting with all these females sitting there, I said, "Did you guys ask for this meeting? You know, did you want to be here today?" And the looks on their faces, you know, it was like, no, we didn't ask for this meeting. But you know what? That was okay, because I understood that, and it kind of broke the ice for us, because they knew where I was coming from and my hesitation, and I knew where they were coming from and how they had felt coming to this meeting. So actually we had some really good conversation after the ice was broke, and the topics that we talked about and the questions that I was asked during that meeting were different than any questions I've been asked in any other forum. And so it really got me thinking that maybe this is a conversation that needs to continue. I think there's value in this if we're going to try to encourage females to stay in the military longer or long enough to reach senior positions. And so I started changing my mind a little bit about meeting with females at that point. So this event today is so significant because I believe it's important for women to share their military experiences. It makes it easier and more normal for the next generation. You know, studies show that as many as 80% of our male counterparts don't understand how women's experience in the military can be vastly different than theirs. I'm so pleased also to see so many male soldiers and airmen, as well as senior leaders here today. The more that you learn and understand about some of these topics, the better you can lead and develop your female soldiers and airmen to their full potential. You know, I read an article recently. It was discussing President Obama's last news conference in 2014. Apparently he called on 8 different reporters during this news conference, all of whom were women. This made headlines worldwide. Now, if he had only called on men during that news conference, it wouldn't have made any headlines at all. It would have been a normal day. What do you think would happen in our organization here if we held these Obama-style meetings where for a few days we called on only women in our meetings? Do you think you'd get different perspectives? I think we would. As you know, one of Major General Nash's priorities as the Adjutant General has been to diversify the force in the Minnesota National Guard. And the organization has made great strides toward that end. We have to remember, though, if diversity is a seat at the table, inclusion's having a voice. True equality isn't just a numbers game. Female leaders need visibility. They need a strong voice and a central role in driving the future of the organization. But this time of paradigm takes time. We've made much progress in all areas except the very senior leader levels. So why do we think that is? Well, I have some ideas. For one thing, I think it takes time to grow a senior leader. One thing I've noticed throughout my career is that few females stay in long enough to actually be in the running for senior positions. And in my experience, a key component to that is the work-life balance, or what I've usually called the work-life survival. It can be uniquely challenging to be in the military, and sometimes being a mother, or a single mother especially, can seem at odds with military service. Having been a single mom in the Army for 7 years, I'm afraid I don't have any sage words of advice that make it easier, but I can tell you for sure that we need to keep having the conversation. I've come to learn that collaboration on this issue can be very beneficial because a lot of us are dealing with this same issue. I recently heard Sheryl Sandberg speaking at the Pentagon about some small changes for military mothers that we could make right now to make a difference. She spoke about how for many of the military females she had talked to, they said a huge hurdle for them was something as simple as PT. It seems that PT started at 6 o'clock in the morning and daycare opened at 6 o'clock in the morning. So there would be a long line of women at daycare waiting to drop off their babies to get to PT on time. And one of the women was even told, just leave your baby here and get to PT. It's a baby, for God's sake, you know. So it's important. So this is just an example, but these are some small adjustments, like, you know, starting PT 15 minutes later or something, that could be made in many areas to make it easier for women to stay in the military. I'm also really excited to see that the military is working on some of these issues as well. The Secretary of the Air Force recently announced a pilot program called the Career Intermission Program, something I hadn't heard of before. It's designed to help address work-life concerns. This program allows high performers to transition to the IRR for 1 to 3 years for professional or personal needs without losing their positions or having to get out. It's an effort to keep the Air Force's top performers while allowing them time to balance their life priorities. Now, this is a start, but things are coming about because we're having these conversations, and the military values our continued service. So another thing to consider when looking at future senior positions in your career path is to ensure you're making yourself competitive. It's no longer feasible to stay in one field doing something you're comfortable with. Someone very smart once told me, greatness was never achieved in a comfort zone. You need to look for those challenging assignments, volunteer for projects or positions that'll stretch yourself. You have to remember that the journey you're on to your dream job is where you actually gain all of the skills and the knowledge that you're going to require when you land that senior position. So don't cheat yourself, because you can't go back and get something if you missed it, a skill or an experience. You've simply missed it. Last year, during our seminar, we asked our female E7s and E8s in the room to raise their hand. We had, I don't know, maybe 15 people who raised their hand. Then we asked those same females which of them had submitted a first sergeant packet, and every hand went down. Now, why is that? That was really disheartening to see. When we asked why, some of the responses were, I'm not ready, I don't want to be a first sergeant, I don't have time to do that. These are responses that I assure you I've heard much more from female soldiers than I've ever heard from male soldiers. I think fear of failure plays into this as well. You know, studies have shown that men will apply for a job if they have just 60% of the required qualifications for a given position, figuring they can just pick up any of the stuff they don't already know once they get the job. Women, however, won't apply for a job unless they possess fully 100% of the required qualifications and skills the job requires. Those same studies show that although men are more confident in their skills and abilities, women actually are more competent. It's true. It's true. The deficit is solely in confidence level. So I'm challenging you all here today. What would you attempt to do if you knew you couldn't fail? So think about that, and then go do it. The final piece to discuss in getting more females into senior leadership is the importance of mentorship and male advocates. The Minnesota National Guard has the mentorship program now, and it's an excellent way to undertake a formal mentorship relationship with a senior leader in the organization. If you're not already participating in this program, either as a mentor or a mentee, I urge you to do so. No one has to recreate the wheel when you have those willing to be mentors. This makes our entire force stronger. This is what mentorship is all about. All too often with mentors, females believe they should have female mentors. I think there's definitely value in that, but don't discount the value of a male senior leader as your mentor either. Males in this organization tend to be better connected and are often in higher level positions than most females. When it comes to helping you guide your career path, you can gain valuable insight from both the male and female perspectives within the organization. So don't limit yourself by gender. As for having male advocates, it's simply a numbers game. The higher up in the organization you go, the fewer females are there. So if you want an advocate at the highest levels in the most meetings throughout the organization, there's great value and importance in having that person, the male advocate, speaking on your behalf and highlighting your skills and your abilities and your potential, especially when decisions are being made about career paths in some of these meetings. The bottom line is this: if we're to achieve a truly diverse and inclusive organization, we need to continue to have the conversations about what challenges us. We also need to move out of our comfort zones and be confident doing it. We need to reap the benefits found through mentorship. The mere fact that so many of you came to this event today is testimony to the fact that the time is right. Through the efforts of Major General Nash and many dedicated soldiers and airmen over the past few years, the potential is there for more females to not only achieve those senior leadership positions, but also to achieve that central role in driving the future of the organization that will make the real difference. Thank you again for the invite to this historic event today, and I'm excited for the rest of the day and to watch you all change the future. Thank you.